but they have to pretend. And I think it's a product of jealousy. They have to pretend that these women are dumb. But Brett, that to me is the less important part of the clip, I guess, in that they both just delighted in mocking someone for having an actual job.
Trump attorney and MAGA mouthpiece Alina Habba went on Fox News with Sean Hannity to ridicule AOC about having formerly been a bartender. John Iadarola of The Damage Report broke all this down. We're going to take a look at clips from his show as well as Fox News. I have my thoughts on this that I will share as well. Let's check it out together.
Jasmine Crockett and AOC and the squad seem to be leading the intellectual thought of the Democratic Party.
What intellectual thought, Sean? The last I saw, they're dancing down the halls of Congress. I've never seen anything like this. I'm watching TikToks of crazy things. They're singing, they're dancing, they're holding beers.
Well, you didn't see me, but I never saw anything like this. I was doing the intellectual side of the party, and I love when AOC lectures Elon Musk about not being intelligent. I'm like, oh, she's such a genius. You know, I'm inspired by her every word.
You were in the bar. You were in a bar.
Yeah.
You were in a bar, AOC.
Well, that's the only thing she and I have in common.
To serve one.
Exactly. All right. All right. Alina.
Oh, got her. She had a job. She did the thing that makes it so people can go to the bar. Burn, AOC. You worked for a living. Oh my God, you had a job. I mean, I go to bars. I would never work there, obviously. And so, look, that was ridiculously anti-worker, just anybody below wealthy, like anybody who would have to actually go out there and work for a wage. While, by the way, getting like advanced degrees like she did, which they obviously ignore. See, she danced once, so it doesn't matter how she speaks, the ideas that she champions, the ability that she has to inspire people, the fact that she did the stunning upset, as we were talking about earlier on the show, in her initial victory. None of that matters because she once danced, which they would never, ever do. Alina Habba would never, ever dance. Also, that was compelling television, the bizarre crosstalk where they were all competing with each other to talk about how dumb they think all of these women are. And look, I understand that they're not gonna like them. They're not gonna like AOC, they're not gonna like Jasmine Crockett, but primarily they're not gonna like them because they're effective and charismatic and they generate attention. The idea that like you hate them because they're dumb, no you don't. No, you don't. Like, that's just not true. And I know that they have to pretend that they think that Elon Musk is like a genius or whatever. And maybe they're still buying the PR of the last 10 years that he invented literally any of these products rather than just swooping in and buying a company. We're actually talented coders, inventors, and engineers that actually made these things. But like, can you at least be honest about why you dislike people? There are Republicans that I dislike because they're dumb. Marjorie Greene is very, very dumb. Lauren Boebert is generally pretty dumb. Not as dumb as Marjorie Greene. Even there, I can acknowledge the nuance. I don't like JD Vance. When I talk about JD Vance, do I talk about him as being primarily bad because he's dumb? No, there's things specific. There are Vancian flaws that we can focus on. But they have to pretend. And I think it's a product of jealousy. They have to pretend that these women are dumb. But Brett, that to me is the less important part of the clip, I guess, in that they both just delighted in mocking someone for having an actual job.
And this is one of the things with MAGA and the right wingers. I mean, it's the same thing now. They're so disingenuous. These people like Alina Habba and Sean Hannity, because if somebody doesn't have a job, they're going to ridicule them for that. If they have a specific kind of job, though, they're going to ridicule them for that. You know, right now you're seeing it all over the place with right-wingers. People who work for the government, they don't really work. Those aren't really real jobs. They're not providing any value to the society. That's what the right-wingers say. If you're somebody like Bernie Sanders, who has been in Congress for a long time, they say, well, Bernie Sanders never really worked a real job before. He's just been in Congress, just in the government. So it's like, if AOC had immediately gone just straight from, she graduated from college and then immediately was into Congress, then they would just say, well, she never had a job. She's never done any work before. What could she know about the world? So it's just such BS that, unless somebody fits into the exact, I guess like hedge fund managers. If you were a hedge fund manager, in their mind, that would be a real job, I guess. But somebody working as a bartender, you're going to make fun of them for that. Does someone not get credit for working? I don't know if it was when she was in college or right after college, but in their 20s working a job, it just makes no sense. But of course, none of this has to make any sense. They can, if someone who's one of their right-wing heroes worked as a bartender, it would be, oh, look, they worked to support themselves. They weren't on the government dole or living off their parents or whatever. It's just nonsense.
The thing is, I love getting accused by the right of me as a leftist being, thinking I'm smarter than everybody else. That's their main accusation. They accuse us of thinking we're smarter than everybody else. Meanwhile, their entire political identity on the right now is trying to call people retarded. Like, that's it. Like, you guys, like, and Ben Mankiewicz is in my ear all the time. He doesn't call me, but like, I can hear him saying, like, no one cares about hypocrisy. But that's true. Like, no one cares about it when they get called out for hypocrisy, but we need to call it out. Like, they say we think we're so damn smart. You guys think you're smarter than experts in a field. What do you think is more likely, that you guys are smart or that someone convinced you were smart because it feels good to think you're smart? Like, that's more likely to me. And then the entire, like, the other day I was on a meeting with YouTube and then we were talking about various things and watching some videos, and like, what people think that the right is the cool guys now. They are still the schmucks that try to, like, the ski team in the 80s movie that's screwing with the local bartenders.
Yeah.
That is who they are. That is what I just saw them looking down their noses. AOC has graduate degrees. AOC got her job. Let's put it this way. AOC got her job because she did the groundwork, the activism, the grassroots work necessary, knocking doors and organizing a community and mobilizing people so she could defeat a well-funded incumbent who lives in the same padded, beautiful bumpers bowling world that Hannity and Habba now live in, right? Yeah. She won that way. JD Vance, Donald Trump, Mehmet Oz, who's now in his confirmation hearing, those guys are all there because of the entertainment industry. JD Vance wrote a book that became a movie. Donald Trump is a board game. He inherited his money.
Not a good one.
People that inherited that money turned it into a lot more than that. Within the business world, they're supposed to turn it into money in. But Donald Trump used that to be like a reality TV show host.
And these are great points from Brett. A perfect analogy is that the current Republicans they absolutely are like the guy in the 80s movie who's the rich kid who wants to tear down the rec center or whatever. And the normal, just average kids have to win some kind of a competition to keep it from being torn down. That's totally what the Republicans are. And in terms of making fun of people for being stupid, they also will make fun of people for being smart. A few years ago, they were calling Elizabeth Warren professor mockingly, like professor. So they have no principles, nothing. They have no consistency. They can turn on a dime. They can say one thing this minute and the very next minute say the opposite thing. He brings up J.D. Vance here, who wrote an entire book that was based on a lie. This idea that he was from Appalachia when he never was. The part of Ohio that he grew up in is not Appalachia, but it doesn't matter. There doesn't have to be any consistency. It can be whatever they need to say in that moment to get their particular point across or their viewpoint through. And they can completely contradict themselves the next, and they have no shame about it. You can show them tape of them contradicting themselves, and they're going to have no shame about it. So what Brett and John Iadarola are saying here is absolutely correct. And Alina Habba, she's just disgusting, in my opinion. She's just a mouthpiece for Donald Trump and this horrible administration. And going after AOC in this way, if they want to criticize her for their political views, fine. But to make fun of her for being a bartender is just nonsense. Let me know in the comments what you think about all of this. Do you agree with John Iadarola here on the Damage Report about Alina Habba and AOC. Let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. This is Chris on Culture, and I will see you in the next video.